Welcome everyone to the NASW Family History August 2020 Zoom meeting. Recent church updates and the importance of the state consultant will be our topics for today. Brother Meyer has stepped aside right now and he's going to help me with the technology portion. So the recent church updates Jan will be going over are July 31st and May 26th. This Zoom meeting can be found on our blog at naswfamilyhistory.blogspot.com after August 15, 2020. We will also give you links to any handouts or materials, and you're welcome to use that on anything that you find on our site to help in the training of your consultants. There will be a link to the PDF of this deck, and anything that is hyperlinked in the deck will be an active hyperlink in the PDF. There will also be a link to this recording for your convenience to refer to later, and perhaps even to train some of your consultants. So you can see that the church update on July 31st, 2020 has all of these chapters, but not the Temple and Family History chapter 25. So we're going to let you click on those later. You can go over them in your own family homes. And we will focus tonight on Elder Ballard's letter of May 26, 2020. So this letter is a manifestation of what we've been asked to share with you since 2017, only now it's in writing. The only addition is the Melchizedek Priesthood Committee, which has been left up to each stake president as to the composition and staffing, and that's up to their own personal priesthood revelation. The only thing that is clear is that each person chosen must be a Melchizedek priesthood holder. The High Counselor over Family History does not have to do all the training himself. He can delegate this to a trusted state consultant or consultants. He can use his own multi-stake Temple Family History consultants to present at a large meeting. He can also step back and offer personal mentoring, and he can do the training himself if he wants to. So starting up at the top right, you see that pretend like we are your multi-stake Temple and Family History consultants. And for all of those in our 9 stakes, this is how this is running, with us helping your stake presidency understand the messages from Salt Lake, and then they apply them to their own stakes and wards. So the stake presidency calls a Melchizedek priesthood committee, and that composition, like I said, could be one Temple and Family History leader from each ward. It could be one Elders Quorum president from each ward. It could be several high counselors or any Melchizedek priesthood holders assigned to specific wards. And it's just all up to the stake president's personal priesthood revelation of what is needed for his stake. His High Counselor over Family History trains the stake consultants and trains the ward Temple and Family History leaders, and he also trains the Melchizedek Priesthood Committee. That's a lot of work, so he can delegate that. like you see here in the yellow, to the stake consultants, and the stake consultants can even train the temple and family history leaders with his discretion, and also the ward consultants. The Melchizedek Priesthood Committee, under the direction of the stake president, then helps the Elders Quorum presidencies and Relief Society presidencies with the knowledge that they need to carry on with temple and family history work in their individual factions. They're trained on the one-on-one heartfelt family history experience, the helper resource, which used to be called the consultant planner, and partner access. To becoming an established member, going to the temple someday. Each person being a guide to help the person achieve their goal of going to the temple within 60 days with their own names. And this is per Elder Bednar's leadership meeting request of 2020, this year, February. Instruction of the Elders Quorum and Ward Relief Society presidencies in their responsibilities for the work, meaning temple and family history work, the stake on the presidencies. We are showing a graphic here of the Elders Quorum stake presidency as they instruct the ward Elders Quorum presidencies. The Elders Quorum and Relief Society presidents each assign one counselor to missionary work and the other counselor to temple and family history work. These counselors help all members of the Quorum or Relief Society participate in missionary and temple and family history work. Under the direction of the bishop, the Elders Quorum president may be assigned to oversee the missionary work and the temple and family history work. Generally, he will be delegating each to one counselor. It doesn't matter if it's the first counselor or the second counselor, it's whoever he is inspired to give that calling to. So, on the missionary side, the counselor over the missionary work works with the ward mission leader. They work as a team, and they work with the ward temple and family history leader to make sure that the member goes to the temple within 60 days with their own names. On the temple and family history side, the counselor with the temple and family history work also works with the temple and family history leader. They supervise ward consultants, and they assign each new member a consultant to work with them and the full-time missionaries and the ward mission leader to make sure that the member goes to the temple within 60 days with their own names. The Stake Relief Society presidency instructs her ward's presidency members. Of course, the stake is under the direction of the stake presidency, and the wards are all under the direction of each ward bishop. And in those factions, the Ward Relief Society president may assign her counselors to oversee these as follows, as directed by her bishop. So, one counselor helps with missionary work, and the other counselor helps with temple and family history work. What type of things would that be? Well, it could be member missionary work, maybe activating an existing member and encouraging them to go to the temple. It could be helping with missionary work, a new sister an investigator who's coming with the missionaries, comes to the Relief Society, um, and then as she's baptized, a ministering sister is assigned by the Relief Society counselor to help with the new member with her tree. On the consultant side, the Temple and Family History side, that counselor does all kinds of great things. Organizes temple trips, organizes field trips to family history museums, um, craft nights for scrapbooking, maybe Relief Society nights that are dedicated to family history. They just do all kinds of wonderful things. And so they head that up. And they work with the leader, Temple and Family History leader, who assigns a consultant to work with each new member and ministering sister. And as a team, they can get a lot of names before that 60 days is up. And those names will last them through a whole year of going to the temple and keeping active, which is crucial to elevating your retention numbers. And so when it says lead here, I'm really talking about the Temple and Family History leader. So the primary wasn't mentioned in the letter. We just thought we'd mention how our stakes are working with getting children ready for the ability to enter the temple when they graduate from primary during the year they turn 12. So you have children who in January, still at 11, will leave primary, and it would be very helpful if they already knew how to do a little bit of research and print down their own names for their very first experience. And we've developed a fun program called Primarily Primary, which teaches them the basics of genealogy, very basics. And if you need that, we're here for you. We'd like to show you how that works. Just let us know. And here's the chart with the primary president. Of course, since activity days went away, they needed something for that counselor to do instead of heading up activity days. She's in charge, and Cub Scouts was the other one that went away. So they have a counselor that helps with missionary work and member missionary work. Those 8-year-olds need help organizing their baptisms with their families, and also member missionary work. So any new members moving in, to help them get acclimated, they could be assigned a youth 11 or 12-year-old to be a consultant and help them get their tree going. The counselor on the Temple and Family History work side organizes with the Temple and Family History consultant who is assigned by the Temple and Family History leader to work with the new member or someone that's getting ready to go into young men's and young women's. It's always good to train the counselor on the partner access, the Temple and Family History consultant planner, and the one-on-one heartfelt, spirit-led family history experience. These things would help her immensely. And then also get the young men's and young women's leaders on board they can be involved in the prep for onboarding for young men's and young women's. Kind of a welcoming committee. So now this chart discusses, and you can read it in detail later, who gets to go to ward council meetings. And we've made a graphic for that to make it just a little easier to understand. So you all know who used to go to ward council and how it's attended. And now you have the opportunity to choose 2 more components to give you valuable information and insights into your family, into your ward family history plan. So of course the bishop is there with his 2 counselors. The elders quorum president is there with his 2 counselors. The executive secretary is there, and the ward clerk is there. There is no more young men's president. That has now been changed to the young men's advisor and the presidency member of the young women's Laurel class. Now they spoke to it as the oldest young women's class president. So I know that is the Laurel class. If they aren't calling it Laurels anymore, then I need to be educated. But your ward mission leader orchestrates temple trips and baptisms with all the auxiliaries. He works in concert with your temple and family history leader to make sure that a little tracker is filled out to make sure everybody's on target. We have a tracker if you need one. It's very simple. Just make sure that they are getting their training done before that 60 days past baptism. And these numbers don't go anywhere. They just help you stay on target. Please consider asking the ward mission leader and temple and family history leader to come to your ward counselor once a month. I think it will be a great addition to your team, and we've seen it work miracles in wards. Internationally, the bishop ultimately takes on these callings. So as to the actual letter, there were some parts that we wanted to show you. Located in the portal at Stake Libraries. They know unique research tips. They've networked with other specialists of languages so they can get a resource for you. Perhaps it'll be in the stake, or it could be someone they know on a national basis that you could email. They are proficient at presenting slides or troubleshooting and search concepts. They have end-of-line talents, where you run into a brick wall. Well, they can help you break through it, and they can teach you how to do it. They have the opportunity to meet with non-members and help them with their trees. They're a good resource for missionaries to be introduced to more people. They are a good resource for consultants to learn from so they can become effective members in a pool of stake talent for stake family history events. And if you want to put on an amazing community event, call us sometime and we'll help you through it. It is so easy and so fun, and you will have an amazing time and you will change lives. So we do get emails from all over the world about people who are struggling for direction. They are struggling for learning and knowledge and they want to be a better consultant. And the problem is, when you get this title of consultant, there's something in everyone's brain that just tells them that they have to know everything before they begin. And then that keeps them from taking a first step. So we ask you to pray for guidance. Ask your local priesthood advisor, your stake high counselor over family history, to pray with you for an answer to this problem. Make an appointment with if that doesn't work, then make an appointment with the counselor over family history in the bishopric. But don't ask to be released. We need you too much. Seek for answers on family search. And I will list a section on my blog that gives you some ideas of where you can seek for further light and knowledge. Join a support group. In family search communities, there's a great one called New Stake and Temple and Family History Consultants. It's awesome, and it's all new people who just are like you, getting started and really want to be a better consultant. Join a Facebook page. Now, we are admins on the Temple and Family History Consultants page, and you are always welcome there. There are so many knowledgeable people there. People who you've seen on the internet that teach classes, people that are knee deep in family history and really know what they're talking about. And it's just very exciting to speak with them and learn more from them. Brother Meyer and I learn something new every day. We love this work so much. So here's another one. Ask your local multi-stake temple and family history consultants for help. So who are they? How do you find them out? Well, you can ask your bishop if he could guide you to them. We could help you find them. If you're in our stake, we would love to come and do a presentation for your ward or your stake to your leaders, and we would love to help train your people. So continue to keep meeting with your ward consultants and state consultants and teach them what you know. Teach them how to research and various softwares. Teach them Pazilla. Teach them partner access. Teach them the one-on-one method. Teach them how to find the answers by using prayer. By using prayer, you grow closer to your ancestors, and they will touch your shoulder, and they will give you the answer. Also, make sure that you know how to troubleshoot in the tree and by using helper resource, which I noted here is called partner access, but that's not it. It's called the consultant planner. If you need tools to help you teach those methods, you can look on Family Search. You can ask your multi-state temple and family history consultants, or you can use our tools. You want to be released? Reconsider. Really reconsider asking to be released. That's not really what you want. You need to give this calling time for you to do all of the above and witness the heart-rending spiritual revelation in the person you are teaching. Again, it's contagious and addicting. Your joy at being able to help others find their families will grow exponentially beyond your imagination. Particular slide deck, I'm just going to go ahead and let you know that we do this because we love family history and we love the Lord. This is our calling, and we haven't been paid or conscripted to create these slides by the church. We create them for our stakes that we represent as multi-stake consultants. However, in the spirit of Christ, we would never refuse to help anyone wishing help with family history when asked. So please keep our information, what our blog is, naswfamilyhistory.blogspot.com. I'm sure there are answers there that would help you with your calling. And on the blog, I will also list our Facebook and YouTube sites. And again, God bless you for helping these people in every walk of life learn more about their ancestors. You will be blessed for this. Angels will attend you as you do this work. We see miracles every day, and we're so grateful that we're a part of this. We say these things humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Exactly.
And I had something as a previous consultant. I'm in the Relief Society presidency right now, but as a consultant who's been associated with a ward that my mother is a consultant. In fact, she's on with us here. Her computer just doesn't have audio or video. There has been, she's been a consultant for 3 or 4 years, well, more than that now, and she has had absolute zero offer of any training at all.
Oh, we'll help. We'll help.
Oh, ugly.
Right. But I think if there was a high counselor that called her and said, I'm leaving in a month, but before I leave, I want to understand what are your needs, what are your concerns, so that this new guy coming in can hit the ground running, and here's a place where you can get started in the meantime. That would be just a huge blessing.
Right.
We're on the opposite side of Brother Brederich, where we'd give anything for some training. And here's all these consultants with no training, no support, no help from senior leadership. We'd give anything for the training, and here he's looking for somebody to. My solution for him is move to our ward, move to our state. And you know,
move to the Manteca State, California.
Yeah. Well, we've got typically, you know, 65-degree days during the summer. You might want to take a break up here. Anyway, so that's kind of where, you know, where on this end of things, I would love to see somebody listen to what I needed and pass that on, not just try and say, okay, we've ignored you for 6 years. Now here's a website, go train yourself. I would love to feel listened to. That's just my impression for Brother Brederich.
Well, thank you very much. For the first week after I was called to serve on the High Council, apparently my stake president, who I am very good friends with, emailed me. He had just gone to Family Search and looked at the clerk and leader resources and saw that temple and family history work in our stake are down a little bit compared to previous months and years even. And so he asked me what my thoughts were. And I didn't have a good answer. I sweat a lot, but I didn't have a good answer. And that's when I started. I contacted our family history library director and worked with her to stage these training sessions for the lead consultants. I even started emailing regular ward consultants to try to get people to these training sessions. I sent out emails asking what they've been doing during the pandemic to promote family history work in their wards. No response at all. And so I'm just wondering about their approach.
Yeah, Brother Broderick, I would also suggest that you send out that email to the Elders Quorum presidency, Relief Society presidency, and then after that, pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Okay, because I got to tell you, we had a problem getting our ward consultants to our stake meetings. But when we started to go around and pick up the phone and then individually go out and contact the Elders Quorum and the Relief Society Quorum presidencies, we started to get them coming to our monthly meeting where we did training, where we talked about what we were trying to accomplish for the stake. And that started to work out a lot better, but it was that getting that personal contact with people so that they knew that this wasn't, you know, it's just not a sit back calling. It's a calling. You have to be active. And as I like to preach, you need people who want to be evangelists for this, to go out and just, you know, talk to people to make it happen. So that's my counsel too. And you got to remember, I'm not the most bravest person in the world. Okay. But that's one of the things I had to do was go out and just start talking to people.
Well, that's the nice thing about our slide decks, because
Mhm.
you can put them up in front of a group of people, and all you have to do is read what it says, and everyone's learning.
Mhm.
It's a good opportunity to use.
I would like to throw something in. I'm Carl Tippett from St. George, Utah, in the Elders Quorum
Carl.
Presidency. This whole approach, I've tried mass mailings and they don't work. It's individual, one-on-one. You've got to get each individual on board with you, and you start out with one. And it's the same thing in the family history where they talk one-on-one. You get one going and it'll get contagious. But with the pandemic, it's very hard, but you've still got to do one-on-one and get the thing started. Emails, mass mailings, they don't work. It's one-on-one, eyeball to eyeball.
And here's another thing. We run into this all the time when we're working with stake presidents. We have to go in with a message from Salt Lake, and we have to try to impress them. And so what we do is we ask them if we can find a miracle on their tree and let us have access to it. And let Ted tell you what happened during one of our stake presidencies. It starts at leadership. If you can get the leadership involved and excited about family history, then it's going to trickle down. So go ahead and tell that story.
We went into one stake presidency, and we'd done the High Council over Family History's work along with all three presidencies. But the High Council over missionary work, we had actually found a photocopy of the first page of a Bible.
Family Bible.
Family Bible that went back like 4 generations. And we presented that to him. He got up in the meeting, got his phone out, and was calling his wife and telling her, "You're not going to believe what they found."
And it started to trickle downhill. The other gentleman that we found something for, you found 3 generations on one plot of land.
That's true. And then on the same census data, we found 3 generations, and his relative was a congressman, and he had a roadblock going back the next generations. Well, all 3 generations were living there right next to him.
So your first miracle is to find something special in someone's tree that you want to change their heart. When you do that, angels will help. They will attend.
You've got to get that permission to run them through the planner to see if you can find something that helps them, inspires them, gives them some impetus. One-on-one is the only way that I've been able to see any progress. Mass mailings, emails, even with bishops and stake presidents, they don't work. You got to get one-on-one.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to call the bishop in a ward if you're not getting any response out of him. Then prod him for a thing. How can I get these guys motivated? He knows those individuals best.
And once you show the bishop something on his family tree, some miracle that you found for him, don't you think he's going to mention it in ward council? It's just a trickle down effect. It's just beautiful.
Okay. Another thing, sometimes what I used to call them were touch points, and how many touch points could I get going in a month with the word leadership? One of the things I used to do all the time was I would take the FAR report, which is the Family History Activity Report. I would every month send that to the ward leadership and the bishopric. And with a little thing, here's how we're doing. Here's what we're planning. We need to think about planning this. And this month we're going to be working with, and then, whatever group we were working with that month specifically. So that way they knew it was there. And when I saw them at church, it was, did you see the report? And I was always constantly bringing it up and bringing it up in front of them so that they knew we were talking about it. We wanted to work with them. We wanted appointments, and we were just, when can we have an appointment to sit down and talk with your presidency so we can go through, let's say, the youth who are coming up to young men within the next year? How do we help them? How do you want us to help you help them? It's that constant reaching out, and some people might call it salesmanship, but it honestly, we're taught this in the temple, how to really do leadership.
Mm-hmm.
All we have to do is follow that pattern, and we can go out and be very, very successful in family history by doing that.
Effective, yes.
Mike, I was just wondering, the way I envision it, and I know family history is now under the umbrella of the Elders Quorum presidencies and the Relief Society presidency and stuff, but should family history consultants, ideally on the ward level, should they be ministering to members of the ward and offering one-on-one help?
Oh,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
Could I share
Big time.
Yes.
could I share an experience? Am I muted?
Please.
No,
yes,
you're
we
good.
hear
You're
you.
good. We can hear you.
Okay, I'd love to share an experience that I had regard to ministering as a family history consultant with our missionaries. Before COVID-19, we had a pair of missionaries come by our home for a visit, and one of these elders looked kind of like he was dragging, like counting the days to go home. He wasn't excited. He just didn't have the fire in the belly. And I felt prompted to ask this elder about his family and to ask him to go to his family tree on his phone. And he opened it up. He showed it to me. And I found his fifth great grandfather was Shadrach Roundy. Now that may be a name familiar to you if you've read your Doctrine and Covenants.
Shadrach and Abednego.
He's Shadrach Roundy is mentioned in the Doctrine and Covenants. This man traveled 100 miles to meet the prophet Joseph Smith in the winter of 1830. And he served eventually as a faithful bodyguard to the prophet. He helped build Kirtland and Nauvoo temples, and he was one of the first in the Salt Lake Valley. So this elder started to say, really? That's my fifth great grandfather? And then I said, Elder, when you get tired tracting every day, I want you to think about Shadrach Roundy, because this man crossed the plains 5 times to help gather Israel. Will that not keep you going and make you knock on one more door? Well, that missionary that night left with a whole different attitude. I said, Shadrach Roundy's DNA is in you, Elder. You just need to channel it and get your feet moving. And so that was one really great experience. And a second one followed with the next set of missionaries who I said, I spend so much time in my other calling, which is as institute teacher, that I don't get out much and meet non-members. So I'd love to help you in the work, but you need to give me somebody to teach. And I said, I want you to find someone for me as a temple and family history consultant to help find and discover their family. So 24 hours later, I get a call from that set of missionaries who say, we tracked it into an inactive member of the church, hasn't been to church in 50 years, but she just went to Salt Lake and she's interested in learning about her family. Could you help? They gave me her phone number. I called her. She came over the following day. We started with a prayer. The Spirit was there. We began to set her up on Family Search and input her family. And pretty soon she's connecting to other trees and the thing is expanding before her and she's practically crying. We met another 10 times and I finally said, are you ready to come to the stake library with me? And why don't we go an hour and a half early and you can come to Institute class. So got her to come to Institute, got her to go to the library, and now she is just on fire about her family. She feels called to the work. She's now getting the information from our ward Facebook page that I have a family history page on Facebook for just our ward. She sees those things and likes them all the time. She's starting her ward members. We've gone to lunch with a couple. So it's a wonderful work if your temple and family history consultants have the vision of how they can work with missionaries and how they can reach out and connect with people. But you got to be a people person in this work. That's for sure.
That is true.
Well, thank you for sharing.
If you,
But Karen, where is that PDF? I looked for it on your website and couldn't find it off the bat.
I'll show you tonight. I'll put it up
Okay.
here tonight.
Perfect.
I'm going to answer all these questions in the notes, and so please make sure that if we don't have your email, please make sure that you type it in the sidebar here so I can make sure that I get you what you need. Let us know what kind of tools you need. Brother Braderich, I think that the information that we have for temple and family history leaders to help them train the consultants would really help you a lot. It'd just be very helpful.
If you've got an interest or want to know about something, send it to us. We'll see what we can do to generate some training if we don't have training for that.
Right. If we don't know it, we'll find out for you.
We'll try to get you up to speed on what you have questions on.
You don't have to be in our 9 stakes in order to get help.
Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it.
I'm a California girl. Come on.
I've got a story.
Yes.
Yes, about 6 years ago, I came down to Tucson, Arizona, because that's where my family is. That was about 2 years before I had my stroke, and at that time I was also in the high priest group leadership up here.
Yes.
And I took off on the bus that first day I got there, and just had my pass along cards and what the missionaries have, and among them I had family search cards. They have a new one now that you can get off the church website, as well as the other new pass along cards to go with the Come Unto Christ site. Well, I got to Wilmot Speedway and got off the bus. Several other people got off out the back doors because I was near the front I was near the back, but there were several that got out the front and got a little ahead of me, and so they got across the Wilmot, and I had to wait part of a light to get over myself to get over to the bus that they were going to take. Well, I got to the bus bench and shelter, and one of them had lit a cigarette, and so I offered them a family church pass along card. They started asking me all kinds of questions. Eventually, it led to we're down on Irvington. That was about down about a mile or two from the airport, and they asked, well, where are they at? I handed them another card. It was the one that had at that time Mormon.org, so they could look up their building that went down there. They've since formed a 7th stake in that area. So I'll never know what happened because I just gave them the card and went on my way. And that they do have the cards now, and they while we can't really be getting a lot of the stuff out, I'm still using social media to get family search out there.
Well, it sounds like you planted seeds.
Yeah.
I had when I was a mission leader, I had a missionary who was kind of down because he was heading back in a few weeks and he hadn't baptized anybody. Excuse me. And I told him, do not be discouraged. There are some out there who sow and others who reap.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for coming. We're just so excited to have so many smiling faces, and I see some that came last month. And if you haven't, we started doing this in March when we met with the mission president, and we started in our 70 was with us on that first venture, and we got to visit with all the missionaries in our zone and get them excited about working with consultants. In Canada, they actually hand out the fhguide.com. Do you know that? Do you know that site? Shake your head if you've ever heard of it. No. Okay, write it down. I'll type it in for you.
There's some BYU Family History Library YouTube videos about the Family History Guide. They've got a whole playlist.
Well, it's because James Tanner is one of the people who runs it.
He's a big presenter.
Yes, he's one of the owners of that.
I got an interesting stat from Ron Tanner about a month ago, and
Yeah.
he says that in May they had 10 million names added to the tree. Before the pandemic, it was averaging around 7 million names a month.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, it's like people got a lot of things on their hand, got a lot of time on their hands when they have to stay at home.
We also have a YouTube channel, and I'll list that on our blog tonight so that you can watch some of our slide decks. What we do is we make presentations to people, and then instead of just letting that knowledge just sit there on a slide deck, we roll it into a little video. Sometimes there's background, us talking, and sometimes it's just you just read it along as you go. But at least the information's getting out there on how to troubleshoot your tree. You know, if you can if you can teach a consultant 5 or 6 tips on how to spot something just by looking at a fan chart, you can teach them how to do 5 or 6 things in half an hour, and their self-esteem is sky high because now they know they can do it. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is to teach how to troubleshoot.
Right. And don't underestimate the power of prayer.
That's right. Any other questions? Please keep in touch with us. Our email, I'll put it here, is naswfamilyhistory@gmail.com. We love to hear from you. The next Zoom meeting is the second Saturday in September. I mentioned it in, if any of you got our newsletter, did you get our newsletter? There's a sign up for that at the top of our blog. And at the bottom of that newsletter, it talks a little bit about, we're going to be talking about primarily primary next time, and getting those kids ready to go for young women's and young men's. So we'd love to have a word of prayer.
I have one quick question.
Yes.
Yeah, Carl.
What's the minimum age for getting a child or a youngster a family search account? Is it 8 or 10?
I think it's up to the parent. The parent has to approve it.
At least 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least 8, can't be under 8.
But you want them to have just a little bit of basics. You know, they need to have a little bit of basics. At 8 years old, they're only learning how to address an envelope in school. You know, they don't know cities, counties, they don't know states, zip codes. They're just learning that kind of stuff. So if we can just, and our little primary thing kind of takes them through that just a little bit and teaches them the difference between counties and states and things like that. So, you know, if they could just have just a few of the basics, then maybe they'll input the data correctly. That's always a worry to me, but.
Yeah, you want to get the parents involved, have them mentor.
Have them oversee. You can't just turn them loose. My granddaughter turned herself loose and reinvented our family. She said my 95-year-old mother was dead. She's not. So we had to untangle some problems, but she's excited. You know, that's the most important thing. And she's really excited to get her new bag that I made her. I embroidered her a bag with 4 generations of faces on it. And so she's pretty excited about that. That's going to be her temple bag. So, Brother Smith, would you give us a closing prayer tonight?
I'd be honored. Our Father in heaven, we thank thee for the opportunity we've had of being able to come together and talk about the various things that are involved in doing family history and in serving in this capacity. This important work, both for here and for those who have passed on and for those in the future. We hope and pray, Father in heaven, that we may be able to be continued to seek thee out on ways to improve and help, and also in being able to follow thy plans so that we may be effective and efficient in doing this work. And that, Father in heaven, we may be able to be guided and directed how, when, and where. That we may be able to all meet again in the temple and do the work that thou hast asked us to do for both for our living and our dead. And these things we pray for. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks again for coming. We'll see you next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is how many participants we actually have.